see you guys in the dark.
Let's clear up a few things here. I'm by no means your average girly girl, nor am I considered small. I stand 5'4", and let's just say that I have a decent amount of muscle on me. Athletic build, and yes, thick is my category. I thought that I would include this tidbit of information, because who the fuck would have the balls to want to follow me when there are much easier targets leaving a gym? Let's begin. I had just finished my workout, and I'm walking to my car. I get in. I notice this newer maroon F-250 pull up behind me. At this point, I think nothing of it. I stay parked while getting my music situated. Maybe took a selfie or two to reply back to friends on Snapchat. You know, the usual bullshit girls do before we go anywhere. Another bit of important information that I might add. I come from a blue family, meaning everyone I associate with, friends and family, are all officers or higher ranked. Of course, I've already got a convo going with one of my best friends, who is an officer, before I begin to pull off. Here's when shit gets weird. The truck almost immediately takes off right behind me. Doesn't even hesitate. I'm not even too sure that I paid attention right away to that move. I don't quite realize it until I turned onto the main road at the light and put two and two together and realized that it's the truck that came up behind me while parked. I got a bad feeling right away. Told my friend that I think I'm being followed. He tells me to either speed up or slow down and see if he mocks my moves. So I actually get over and fall back. This fucking truck then slows down, gets back behind me. I tell my friend this, and he told me whatever I do, don't go home. I figured, well, no shit. If this mofo wants a joyride, he'll get one. I turn into my neighborhood, which is huge. From there, I took so many wrong turns and made complete circles at one point. By this time, I'm fed up. I call a detective that I know that lived a few streets down from me, and I tell him quickly what's going on. Thankfully, he was home. He tells me to ride by his house slowly, and he will pull out behind him once he sees us go by. I do so, and said detective pulls out behind him. He tells me to then exit the neighborhood. By the time I'm about to exit, the creepy truck was already beginning to follow me back. I got a bit down the road once again, and I realized that I seemed to have lost him at a light near my neighborhood's exit. I call the detective to confirm that I've lost him. He tells me he went down a completely different street, ditched him once he reached the highway. I touch base back with my friend to let him know that I'm fine, but hauling ass back home. I arrived home safely, went straight to the gun cabinet. The detective came over for a bit in case shit got crazy, and the creepy fuck somehow shows up. He tells me that he ran his plate and didn't see any past arrests or histories other than your average traffic violations. He radios into the county to Bolo. Be on the lookout for said creepy truck, and the description, and anything weird to possibly happen. So asshole who thought that it would be a good idea to follow me home from the gym, let's not meet. I'm turning 20 in a month, but this happened when I was in 9th grade, and I was a naive 15-year-old just starting high school. I live in Florida, so we have a different school system and such, but bear with me. So when I started high school, I decided I wanted to be part of chorus. So I go to the second week of school, and that's when I met Hank for the first time. So we go around, everyone says their name, and a few things about themselves, the usual. I didn't even notice him at first, because he was sitting at the back, and he was very quiet the whole time. During my first 3 weeks, I decided to take part of the school program that focuses on students with good grades, and an interest in nature and the subjects. I joined because I was obsessed with chemistry and biology at the time, and I wanted to do as much as I could. Then after a few weeks, the teachers decide that they want us to mingle, and don't just group up with our classmates. So they pick our partners. I got partnered with a few 10th graders. None of them was Hank. I recognized him, but assumed from the school. Usually I'm friendly and chatty, so I become fast friends with everyone. Time goes on. He reaches out to me over Facebook. We chit-chat. He was shy, but friendly, and I was being friendly back, because I didn't want to come off as rude. But I knew that some boys think if you're friendly, that you're flirting. so I intentionally kept him at a distance and talk about boys and stuff. You know how it goes. I then got a boyfriend, and I knew that he didn't like that. We were kind of friends because we were in chorus and the science program, but nothing past that. Time goes by. It's been like 6 months, and I know that he likes me. I had just been broken up with, so he thinks that I'm free. I told him at a distance, but he starts to act very weird. At first, I thought it was because he had a crush on me, and he doesn't know any better. But then he gets weirder, like going to the fountain to drink, but kept watching me through the doorway, checking out who I was talking to. I had guy friends at the time, and whenever he saw me talking to them, he wouldn't leave me alone until I told him who they were. We weren't even really friends at this point. He keeps following me at school, on field trips with the chorus and the science program. One time I caught him taking pictures of me. One time he was showing me pictures on his phone, and he accidentally showed me a picture of my own ass. I was standing normally, with my back to him, talking to my other friend in the program, and he took a picture of my ass and my legs. He laughs it off once again, says it must have been an accident, but the photo was clear, and I was perfectly in the middle. I get even more creeped out, distance him more. He keeps texting me, and me trying to ignore him and curve him softly and nicely. I didn't want to make it awkward, so I kept blocking his attempts of breaking out of the friend zone, even though that's not real, and he wasn't my friend. He was still following me, looking up everyone that I knew on social media. He started this creepy game where he would tell me what I was wearing, even though I didn't see him at school that day. He didn't have any friends, so no one told him what I was wearing. I don't know how he knew what I was wearing. When my friends would see him, and everyone had to focus on keeping me out of his sight, my friends felt uncomfortable by his presence and his creepiness. One time I was wearing a knee-length skirt with a normal t-shirt, and black, not see-through stockings, and he messaged me. I had to go to the bathroom. Thinking about you in that sexy little skirt made me hard, and I didn't want to bust a load in class. Gross. After that, he was unavoidable. At every school function, every day, he would find a way to annoy me and my friends. He spread the rumor that we were together and that I loved him. I had to find a new route to the bus station because he memorized where I went, and he started to go that way, just so that he would coincidentally meet me. Finally, summer came. We go on break, but he just kept messaging me. The usual creepiness, sexual shit, stupid anime pictures. When I posted after months that I went on a motorbike ride with my brother, he downloaded the pic and sent it back with the caption, "I want to have a motorbike so I can visit you every day." He kept hinting at the place that I lived. At this point, he was messaging me multiple times a day, and he wouldn't leave me alone. I didn't message him back anymore, and just ignored his existence. I went to a summer job, where I reconnected with an old friend who I told everything about this guy. She mentions that her boyfriend is a gang member who likes to help girls like me and scare away the dude. So I say okay. At this time, I was desperate to get Hank to leave me alone. I was even thinking of asking a guy friend of mine to pretend to be my boyfriend. Well, I met her best friend, and soon after meeting him, we start dating. I told him all about Hank, showed him evidence. He was absolutely disgusted by this guy. Summer comes to an end. We go back to school. The chorus goes on a trip, and we go to the school's lake house. He is there, of course, and luckily my friends who are very upfront and very confident. I try my best to ignore him and pretend that he doesn't exist. My friends separate us the best that they can. One day after chorus, he waits for the opportunity when my friends go to the bathroom, and I'm alone. So he corners me between him and the wall, and he pulls out a ring. "I bought this ring for you. You're my girlfriend, and I want to have sex with you," Hank tells me. "Oh my God, you disgusting fucking pig. Back the fuck up," I shouted. I get more and more anxious that he won't let me leave. I wait until he moves a little, and I slip right past him, bolt upstairs. I tell my friends what happened, and after that, we avoided him even more. After we got home from the trip, I tell everything to my boyfriend. He tells me that he will talk to him before our next trip to Japan. My boyfriend pulls a gun on him, threatens to kill him if he doesn't leave me alone. Hank says that he will back off, says that he is sorry. Well, he just continues on. glues himself to my group of friends, and wouldn't leave us alone. He was lurking around, waiting for me to be alone so that he could ask about my boyfriend and why I'm letting him dictate our relationship. Luckily, my friend positions between all of us at all times, and I'm extremely grateful for that. After we got home, I tell my boyfriend everything, and he beats him up. But Hank keeps up his shit, so I tell him to just leave me alone, or my boyfriend is going to kill him. At first, Hank escapes through the side door of the school, and tells me that my boyfriend didn't show up to the talk. I laugh at him, because my boyfriend is next to me, reading his messages. He was waiting for over an hour just to pistol whack him. After an excruciating half hour, we go home to my boyfriend's house. I go home. At night, Hank messages me, tells me that he wants me to tell him to leave me alone, and doesn't want my boyfriend to manipulate me to hate him. I get so mad and rant to him, chew him out for his bullshit for the past year or so. I block him after, and everything is fine. Do you think this is the end? No, of course. After 3 months, Hank messages me once again, tells me that he's sorry, admits that he was wrong, and he would like a second chance. Well, he did change, because he made up an imaginary girlfriend to make me think that he didn't like me anymore. But he kept trying to coax me into going to play pool. I deny him. He gets mad. I chew him out again. I tell him to just leave me alone. He clearly hasn't changed, and I don't want him in my life. I want him to screw off. He blocks me on Facebook and leaves me alone. Messages me once again, and then I tell him to leave again. After that, he doesn't try anymore. He has found himself a new target. The girl looks just like me. I left the chorus, and the program is over, so he doesn't have an excuse. After a year, he starts showing up at the store that I went to every day. I was getting mad, so I decided that I would not go to that store anymore. I eventually forgot all about it, and after a while, I went back to the store. After that, I noticed that when a school function, he would look at me multiple times, and would quickly take his eyes off me when I noticed. But then he graduated, and moved to a different city. I kept, and still kept him blocked. But one time, when he was stalking my Instagram profile, he accidentally clicked the request follow button, and quickly deleted it. I blocked him there too. I graduated high school, started university in the same city, and my then boyfriend went to prison for drug trafficking. But I somehow know that he's going to beat that case, and we'll be together real soon. In August last year, Alex moved into the house that I live in. I had bad vibes early on, but I decided I was paranoid, and this guy was new. Probably felt awkward and lonely, especially with COVID going on. Sometime later, Alex wanted to have drinks in his room. I figured that I should be able to feel safe in my own house, and that if anything were to happen, that would be on him, not me, because I don't believe in victim blaming. Things were fine at first, but as he got drunker, Alex started leaning over me, sitting uncomfortably close, putting me on camera while he video called his friend, and repeatedly calling me a hot piece of ass. I rejected him touching me, but he didn't take the hint, and went as far as pulling me up by the wrist to dance with me. After that, I left while Alex was in the bathroom. I told my housemate Vicky downstairs what had happened. She responded by telling me to go to my room, let her know if Alex tries to force entry. She also said that it was my fault for going in there. Alex found me downstairs, demanded me to come back. He asked what I wanted. I said that I needed him to back off. Somehow Alex left the conversation, still assuming that I was going back to his room, and when I didn't, he banged on my door and phoned me 10 times. After this, I felt awkward around Alex, generally avoiding him until he confronted me in the kitchen, saying that it wasn't nice to report him, especially to our landlord. The report turned out to be from Vicky about an unrelated incident. I was honest with Alex about the reason for my discomfort, but explained that I didn't report him. Instead of being apologetic, Alex went on to say how many girls he had in his life, what a great person he was, and how he was saying I felt uncomfortable was fucking stupid, and I was just sheltered and a stuck-up little bitch. After repeated occasions where he forcibly hugged me after being told no, I made it clear that we were not friends. A few months later, Stephanie moved into the house. Like me, she was friendly to Alex until his behavior became a problem. There were multiple complaints from various housemates over the course of a few months due to Alex being noisy at all hours, smoking weed and crack in the house, and being harassing and threatening. Alex assumed that it was me reporting him because of our issues. One day he came up to me while I was making dinner and said, "If you report me to the landlord again, I'll smash your damn face through the wall, you nasty fucking bitch." And he developed a habit of standing outside my door, talking to Sophie about me, calling me a whore, ugly, just to name a few. One day, Stephanie sent me an audio recording where Alex shouted, "Anyone who reports me will get fucking killed. I don't give a damn." Me and Stephanie genuinely started to feel threatened after this, and shared our concerns with the landlord, who then told the police, who said that they could not do anything at this point. Our landlady served an eviction notice due to unpaid rent and antisocial behavior, but due to COVID, he was given 6 months to leave. He has been given a shorter notice recently due to his behavior escalating. Alex accuses Stephanie of banging on his wall, and then spends hours shouting in his room or hallway saying that she is a whore, and that he'll rape all of us. He does not listen when any of us try to reason with him. The police arrested Alex recently on charges of stalking and harassment with a woman outside of the house, but he was released on bail that evening, and is still out on bail. The police have been contacted and called out multiple times by us due to threatening or antisocial behavior, and Alex has called the police just to waste their time, then just ranted to them. There doesn't seem to be any kind of consequence for this, and they quickly leave on most occasions. There have been many incidents with Alex, including him attempting to get a job at my workplace. It is clear to all of us involved that Alex is sick in the head. It also seemed likely that he is an alcoholic because he is drunk regularly, smells of alcohol, and goes out almost daily to buy drinks. The police don't appear to take the situation very seriously. Alex is due to be evicted next week, but I know that he won't go willingly. I'm also due to move out soon myself. I've had to deal with this piece of shit for almost a year, and while I believe most of his threats and behavior to be childish, I also worry how far he will go to protect his delusions. I was 15 years old when this happened. I was in a dark place mentally, and I met a guy through Tumblr. He told me his name was Mark, and he thought that I was cute, and ran a cool Tumblr page. He used pictures of the super generic emo kid, and my tween heart was hooked. We'd talk for days and nights. At one point, I told him where I lived. My mom and dad worked late. I'd get home from school, and usually be by myself at home, and I'd sit in the dining room, which had this window facing the street. If someone looked in, they could see the TV and everything else. I always kept the curtains open. So about 2 weeks after Mark and I were talking, I'd notice this purple sedan drive past my house once a day. I also noticed that whenever I was watching something and texting Mark, he'd find a way to bring the show into the conversation. I hadn't posted or reblogged anything about the show, and then Mark started bringing it up. I thought that it was really weird. When I asked him about it, he said that I just seemed like the type who would watch it. 2 weeks later, I was chilling with my friends at a nearby Wendy's. I wasn't having a good day, so we decided to hang out. So we're walking around. I turn my head, and there's that purple sedan, except for it's closer, and I can see the person inside. It's this older guy, maybe in his 30s, just watching us. I got really uncomfortable, and then my friend suggested that we go back to her house, which is right next to the parking lot. We fucked around in the parking lot for a bit, when I noticed the guy in the purple sedan got out of his car and walked towards us. My young mind was trying to rationalize that this can't be the same fucking sedan that kept driving past my home. I go to the water fountain to get a drink of water. The guy comes up to me. "I'm Mark. I came to see you," the guy had said to me. "Listen, I gotta get back to my friends," I replied. "Why don't we take a drive? I have a room down the road. You're gonna give me that sweet little ass, you fucking little cunt," Mark demanded. He grabbed my arm at this point, and I think one of my friends had noticed because she came up to us, and Mark violently threw me on the ground and got back in his car. I scraped my chin and my elbows on the cement. I never told my parents what happened that day, and none of my friends did either. None of us wanted our tumblers exposed, and we thought that we'd get in trouble for what happened, even though I was the only one at risk. When we got home, I blocked Mark and reported the account. It's scary to think what would have happened if they hadn't been there, and I don't think the story would have a happy ending. My school, like most others in the area, would allow the 7th and 8th graders to go out for lunch on Fridays. That is, provided that you brought a note from your parents that morning allowing you to do so. We would have an hour from 12:45 to 1:45 to leave school property to grab some food nearby, roam around the neighborhood. So this was one of those Fridays. It was spring. Myself and 2 other friends had decided to walk to the local mart and get Chinese food. Once we got our food, we decided to sit in the park, between the school and the market. It was one of those colored play structure designs to look kind of like a treehouse. We set ourselves up to eat in the play structure on the platform under the green plastic foliage of the treehouse. It was a decent-sized park with the wood-chipped play structure and swing set area, along with a baseball diamond and some picnic tables. The rest of the park was a big open field with an incline on one side leading to the fenced backyard. The opposite side of the park had a small lake. There are 2 streets bordering the other 2 ends of the park. There was a walking path, and then a strip of grass with benches and garbage cans. Then the small lake. The lake was bordered on either side with a layer of trees and other brush, but you could still partially see through to the other side. If you crossed through the lake from the park, you would end up in the parking lot of an abandoned hotel. The hotel was, of course, on the other side of the lot. It had been abandoned maybe for several years. It was the only hotel in our town, and I guess our town didn't get too many visitors. The hotel was a few stories tall, and the windows are all boarded up. There's lots of homeless people now. They're all taking shelter in the abandoned hotel. Additionally, the lake ran under one of the bordering roads, creating a creepy, heavily graffitied tunnel underneath. It was a decent long concrete tunnel that was big enough that we could stand up in. We're sitting on the play structure, eating our Chinese food, and sharing from a 2-liter of Pepsi. Everything was fine until we saw an old woman come out of the lake through the brush. She had a walker, so we were immediately really weirded out, wondering how she could have possibly gotten through the lake with a walker. Weird enough, but whatever. We got concerned when she walked past the path through the park, heading towards us instead of turning either way and leaving the park. She walked hunched over her walker, moving slowly. She had gray curly hair with a scarf tied around her face. She was wearing sunglasses, so a lot of her face was covered up. She was also wearing several layers of clothing, looked quite bundled up given the season. She stops right in front of a ladder. She's very close to us now. Close enough that we couldn't even whisper, the 3 of us, because she would be able to hear it. I got a much better look at her. After standing there for a few seconds, she smiles at us. I realized that I really couldn't see much else of her face. The scarf and the sunglasses really covered her up. Somehow, one of my friend's dad saved us in the nick of time. Her dad had called her just at the right second. He said that he was around the corner, just about here to pick us up, and my friend repeats the message out loud. As she did, this old lady stands straight up, picks up the walker, and runs out of the park. No longer hunchbacked, and no longer needing the walker, but ran away as a completely different person, who, mind you, ran quite fast and with ease. Not someone that was struggling, but made a run for it. My friend pretended that her dad had called her by going to the sound settings and played on one of the ringtones, and pretended to be on the phone with her dad, acted like he was coming up to pick us up. This person wanted us to think that they were an innocent old woman. Who knows what they were planning to do? I'm very thankful that we never found out. My friends and I all agreed that this person was definitely a man dressed like an old woman, preying on unassuming 12-year-old girls. A few years ago, my girlfriend, son, and 2 dogs went camping. We found the perfect setup for us, and our 2 dogs who need the privacy since they are intimidating to other dog owners, and can be loud when spooked. The first night, my son wanted to sleep by himself in a 2-man tent right next to ours. It was maybe 2 feet away from me and my girlfriend's tent. We made the male dog sleep with him in the tent. That whole first night, neither my girlfriend and I could sleep. We both heard footsteps, and they were heavy, not like the typical forest critter scamping around the night. I was well armed because I was paranoid from reading recently before departing about a dad in Florida who was shot and killed in a tent next to his 2 infant daughters. Both my girlfriend and I had 2 pistols. My dogs are great at detection, and that is why I felt my son would sleep alone, because Gunther is completely fearless, and nothing would lay a hand on him. We go for a walk down the road. I see an abandoned road where a rusted gate post was covered in vines. Something caught my eye, and Gunther starts running down this abandoned road. My heart begins to race, because I think it's another family camping like us, and he's going to get himself shot, or scare some innocent people. So I chase after him as fast as I can. He stops in the road, and me yelling his name. I have covered just enough distance to see that there is nobody there, and something is off. I yell hello, but I get no response. As I get closer, I sense something is wrong. It had all the necessities for a campsite: propane burner, tent, blankets, folding table, but every single item had completely been destroyed, smashed and torn from what appeared to be claw marks. I walked around in circles, puzzled why anyone would leave all their camping gear. I figured, well, someone left in a hurry. As the afternoon rolls in, and my son is playing ball at the campsite, my girlfriend goes to take a piss. I do not have direct line of sight on her, but all of a sudden, I see Gunther make a mad dash straight towards her. His speed and focus caught my attention, and I knew something weird was happening. I ran over there, and my girlfriend starts waving at me. I immediately draw my pistol. Gunther has continued running into the forest. I call him, and he stops. My other dog, Sarah, I have had her now for about 5 years, and this was the first time in her life that she refused to leave my son's side. She has full hair raised and attached to us at the hip. Again, anytime we hike or play, Sarah is up front. I asked my girlfriend what happened. She said that I was trying to pee, and all of a sudden I felt all my hairs raise. I know someone was watching me, and then I saw Gunther running towards me. We spent a few looking for signs of anything, and saw nothing. I decided that we are spending one more night, since it's too late to pack up and drive, but we will all be in the big tent together. I put a rope with an alarm around the perimeter. I used a mint can and some coins and keys, and zip-tied it, so if anything hit the rope, it would jingle. As I go to tie my last corner, it looks like someone has done the same exact thing. I immediately felt someone has stayed here before. My paranoia is now high as fuck, but I had to make sure that my son and girlfriend felt safe, and at the time, the only thing I could think of was when the evening came around, I made them sit in the truck, and I fired my gun into the dirt as a signal to whatever was out there that we are armed. I reassured my family that anything listening to that knows that we have 2 dogs and we are armed. That night we heard no footsteps. The dogs never barked. We left the next morning. I watched the missing documentary, and I noticed close to where we camped that weekend. Anxiety was washing over me as I think of that mysterious campsite that I discovered. A few weeks ago, I was dating a man for whom I respect. He's a good person. He's kind of the perfect man. Jake. We broke up because I had to move to begin my training as a soldier. It was a peaceful breakup. We have a lot of affection for each other. We're still very good friends. Our families are friends too. It's kind of funny because he lives where my parents live. I live in the same neighborhood as Jake's parents. Because of COVID, I can't go see my parents for the holidays. I spend the holidays with Jake's parents. A few weeks later in March, I leave my house to go to work. Someone wrote insults on my door. My car is scratched. I'm pretty shocked. I'm angry and downright fucking disgusted, and I'm pissed off. The police quickly find out who the person behind it was. The day before, someone had been caught 2 miles away and fined. The police asked me if I knew the person who did this. She's a lady in her mid-20s. Her face is unknown to me. A week later, I get a call from Jake who warns me that he's visiting his parents with his girlfriend, whom he's been dating for a year. We're both friends on social media, and she's a normal person. I didn't ask him about it. I told myself that he just wanted to see his parents, and that he found an excuse to come. I come home from work at night, and it does not miss. I saw the photo of the lady near the entrance of my building, She was clearly drinking before I got there. I'm on the defensive, ready to fight. She called me a whore, that I was too involved in a guy's life, that I was trying to separate them. In short, that was the other woman. Furious, I called the police, who tried to calm the lady down. I went up to my house with a few men because my presence made her angry. Later, I learned that she went to a van, but they didn't let her drive because she was drunk. A few days later, I learned the truth. Jake visits me on weekends with his girlfriend. She told me that her mother has dementia. Apparently, she assaulted someone. Police found a shotgun in the back of her car. I asked what the mother's name was. The police assumed that she wanted to attack me for no reason. But Jake's girlfriend explained that it was because I had spent the holidays with her boyfriend's parents, when she couldn't do it herself. Her mother had taken the news very badly, and she was afraid that her daughter would lose her boyfriend. The mother is on treatment. I withdrew my complaint. I think about this story now because I learned that Jake and his girlfriend are expecting a baby.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.